So welcome. This is the second video I'm recording on places people get stalled in the second half of the first year often. It's usually when it kicks in. This one is really common. It's when you go out for the evening. You finally decided to go out after months of not wanting to do much. You finally go out, and when you get home, you realize you haven't thought of the person who died all evening. It's been hours. And you had a good time while you were out. So the first response is often just guilt for having a good time, for feeling joy. Understandable. It is understandable. And we get attached to somehow being sad and grieving is a way of honoring them. It can feel that way. It's really not the best way to honor them, but certainly a lot of the grieving process is like that. So the joy, it feels disloyal. It feels like you're being disloyal if you go out and have a good time. Yeah, it actually makes sense. Here's the thing. Life is intoxicating. It pulls us back in whether we want to go or not. It doesn't always pull us exactly where we want to go, which is why there's a whole piece after this about figuring out what you really want. But the flow of life, as long as we're living, pulls us back in. And there can be a lot of joy in that. And there's nothing disrespectful about experiencing joy. And I'd like to reframe this just a little bit to invite you to think about perhaps living your life for them. If you, for example, go to visit your grandchildren, and I talked to somebody recently who said it's just not the same. Even without him, it's not the same. And it's not the same. It's not. But you can enjoy them for you and for him, or her, as the case may be. You can live your life in a way that honors them, that respects them, doing things that they would have liked to do. You don't have to stretch that to doing stuff you don't want to do. But think about it. Think about how you could live your life for them. That when you go visit your grandkids, you are loving them for both of you, for you and your spouse. I know some people will even come holidays and birthdays and those sorts of gift-giving times will in fact give presents from the person who died. You find something meaningful that represents them or that they had. It could be a possession of theirs, could be a photograph, it could be anything. And you give that to the next generation. When I was a kid, we gave my father elephants. Not because he was really that into elephants, but he ended up with an elephant collection, all these figures of elephants, porcelain and metal and ceramics and all kinds of elephants. Well, one of the early gifts to my niece after he died, and she was like 4 or 5, then was his collection of elephants, because she'd always been fascinated with them. So she now has that connection to him. You'll have your own in your family, for sure. But let them be a part of that. Let them be a part of you, and let your living be for them. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. The second response is, oh my God, I'm forgetting them. I'm going to forget them. And that fear is profound. And what I've always said to people is, you're not forgetting them. Your relationship is just returning to normal. And here's what I mean by that. That when they were alive, you're in relationship with them, and in most relationships, unless spouses are working together and really together 24/7, which isn't most people, there are spaces in your togetherness. I can't remember who talked about that, but spaces in your togetherness. It's really important. And what happens in normal, healthy relationships is that you come together and you move apart, and you come together and you move apart. Each couple has their own rhythm around that, certainly, but there is always this coming and going, coming together and going apart. And that is normal, which means that you are not thinking about them 24/7. The real aberration really is what goes on in the first few months of grief when you are thinking about them 24/7. You can't sleep, you're thinking about them so much. You're thinking about them all the time. You're thinking about they're not here. You're yearning for them. You're thinking about them. You're all of that. It is constant. Yeah? Maybe you get a few hours sleep, but then you're dreaming about them. So it is really quite constant. And that's not normal. That's just not normal. Even if you work together, even if you're in the house all day together, you're still not thinking about them constantly. So really what this signifies, when you go out and realize you haven't thought about them for several hours, it's really something to celebrate, because it means your relationship with them, which has not ended just because they died, your relationship to them is returning to normal, with a normal kind of ebb and flow of togetherness. Does that make sense? So there it is. You have feel the joy. It's normal. Life is pulling you back in, and you can live for them. And the fear of forgetting, if you don't think about them for a period of time, it is just a sign that you are moving forward and your relationship with them is returning to normal. Okay? Have a good day. Bye bye.